Hey everyone, welcome to the show, My So-Called Fabulous. I'm Tiffany, and let me tell you, one of my pillars of my platform is interiors. It just makes my heart so happy. It makes me sing. Walking into a beautiful space, whether it be my home or someone else's home or a museum or just someone's simple kitchen, it makes my heart sing. And I have brought to you a fabulous woman that I've met on the internet. And I bring you a lot of people like that on this show because it's such a special connection that we have. And if you don't have it, I encourage you to find it because you can meet some pretty neato friends on the internet. So everyone, welcome to the show, Jessica McClendon with the Glamour Nest.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy you are here. Interior designer. Now you, my friends, we can say the same thing together. Go
Yes.
Frogs, of course. We are both TCU Horned Frogs, and I love TCU, and I know you do too. And you went to TCU to study.
Actually, I went to TCU to study theater. I had a scholarship for acting, and I also studied costume design.
Costume design, which when I met you on Zoom a couple of weeks ago, we determined you and I have that creative brain. I'm a chef and I am in the creation world. You, the acting world, not much different with the creative brain than interior design. So tell us your story.
Okay, so growing up, I grew up poor. We didn't have a lot. My parents owned a window tinting shop or a business, and they would go and tint homes in Southlake, Fort Worth, Colleyville. And of course, I would go along with them because they did not have money to pay for childcare.
Right.
And I loved those homes. So I was like a very odd, second and third grader, like looking at the Spiegel catalog and like looking at Pottery Barn. I loved it. And then in third grade, my parents were able to buy our first home. And they allowed me to decorate it. And so I, painted the walls blue. I stenciled roses it was the 90s. So stenciling was like totally allowed.
We're going to give you a hall pass.
No one judge me.
We're going to give you a hall pass, Jess.
I got like this like secondhand Bassett furniture with like dental detailing, and it was a canopy bed. And I just, looking back now, to me, that is the epitome of like a space can change how you feel about yourself, because I grew up with not very much. And I don't think I ever, I had like freckles and it's like I didn't feel beautiful. But then when I was in that room, I felt beautiful.
Changed you.
It changed me.
It changed you.
And then as I got older, I got very involved in theater. I ended up getting a scholarship to TCU. That is what I was pursuing. After college, I moved to LA to pursue acting. And I think being so far away from home, I sort of started turning back to interior design, like making my apartment, I painted it. I would like scour thrift shops, like finding things just to like feel safe, because the acting industry is very difficult.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Oh my gosh. Like the things that are said to you about your face and body. And it's like some things I can change, but then some things, especially 20 years ago, like I couldn't change. Like you can change a lot more about your face now than you could 20 years ago.
And who can afford it?
I couldn't afford it. So it was like, well, this is just my face. So I think I just started like doing that, to have a haven, to have a place that felt safe, to have a place that felt like home, being so far away from home. And then I think as it became more difficult to be in that industry and keep a healthy mind, I started wanting to pursue it just as another way to be creative that was a little bit separate from myself. It's like, it's still a part of you, but it's just a little bit separate. And I think that gave me like a little bit of safety. So there was like this little boutique. It specialized in mid-century furniture, and she did also design. So I went in one day, and she was a one-woman show, and I was just like, would you let me come and work for you for free? Like on Saturdays. It was like my day off, my only day,
Right.
And so, of course, she was like, absolutely. And I think something that the theater really does is it makes you have initiative. It makes you feel it. Like you see the holes and you feel it. Like it just makes you like on top of things. And so I think I made myself pretty indispensable, and she ended up offering me like a full-time job at like double what I was making at J. Crew. And so it felt very adult. I was like, this is going to be a career. Yeah. So I started working with her, and it was awful. She was, I mean, it was great because I was learning, but it was kind of like one of those Devil Wears Prada experiences, like she'd call and I would just be like, I feel like I'm going to vomit, like.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's the thing.
Yes. No, it was terrible. So I worked with her. I always kept a good attitude because I looked at it more as like, I'm getting paid to get an education instead of having to pay for an education. So I'm going to be grateful no matter what. And then because we also worked with other designers, because it was a boutique, another designer came in. She asked me if I wanted to start doing freelance with her because she was like, you're so helpful. You have such a great eye, again. And so then I switched over to working with her, and she even paid me more. So again, I was like, oh my gosh,
wow,
I can actually support myself. I'm not living off of $10 a week on groceries. And then I decided to start my own business in 2008. So I'd worked, I think, with her for like 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
So,
and I'm going to back up because I'm going to tell people this, and people know this because we all witnessed it, but it's good to say. When you were with the woman, the Devil Wears Prada woman, when you were with that manager or that supervisor, you did learn something.
Yes.
You learned how not to behave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all a learning experience. And I remember being in stages of my life, I'm like, ugh, I just remember don't behave that way. And then look where it got you.
Yeah. Definitely just like being kind. And even just in business, I realized like she didn't have any systems or processes in place. So I was always guessing what she'd want. And, like there were nothing was priced. And so I was always guessing. And so even in my own business, like recognizing like for my assistant, like we have a checklist. We have a system. There is no email that you can send that I have not made a template for, because you will not, you will always represent me and are in this firm with kindness and in a certain way. There never has to be a question. So that was something she really taught me about business. Yeah.
I mean, and you do. Life is about learning experiences for sure. Sometimes they suck, but sometimes they're fabulous. Turns out fabulous. Okay. So you're in Fort Worth with me today, but obviously your career began in LA, but a lot of your client base is in California.
Yes. So I started my business in 2008, during the Great Recession.
Great time
to start. It was funny. My husband, like when I asked him, like, I'm thinking about going out on my own, what do you think? And he's like, we don't have any money anyway. What can we lose? So he's always been really, really supportive. So somehow it worked out. So I built my business from 2008. I still have my business, but 2008 to 2019, I was in LA. Wow. And then in 2019, it was a year after I had my daughter, we decided to move here. It worked out perfectly because we didn't know there was going to be a pandemic. We didn't know all of, so we wanted to be closer to family because we had our daughter Gigi. So, yeah.
And you do, and you have your daughter, and so you're growing into a new space in this fabulous city of ours. So you'll continue with your clients in not just California but across the United States, because what the pandemic did grant us that we can do things virtually.
Yes, and actually it was so great because when I decided to move, I had already had all of these discussions with clients about how I would be able to help them remotely regardless. And I always planned on coming out every 6 to 8 weeks. I have places I can stay, I know that city, it's a second home. So, so in 2019, when we moved, I was already really working out the kinks of like working remotely. So by the time the pandemic hit, I kind of already felt like I was a pro at it. It really just solidified like, oh, I can really live anywhere and do this job. So yeah, I have a client currently in Missouri. I had a client in Manhattan last year. I have a client in Mississippi. Yeah, so I'm kind of all over the place, but majority of my clients are in LA, and then I also have obviously some here in the DFW.
Fort Worth community. Oh my gosh, people would have. So lucky if they look at your Instagram, if they look at your beautiful website, they see what you do. I mean, your vision, your look. I mean, because do you think designers have a certain look, or is that geared to each client?
I think both. The answer is both, because I think I think if you look at my website, you can definitely see each client's personality. There's little variations on the design, but within that, you can also see like, I'm very bold. I like color. So like one client might, color might be a through line, but like one client might be a little bit more bohemian or have a little bit more rustic or like a traveled aspect. And another client might have a little bit more of like a vintage elegance. But does that make sense? Like there's variations, but definitely. And I think as I've progressed in my business and established myself a little bit more, I think now people come to me who are wanting something that's a little bit more colorful or glam or bold. I don't get a lot of, and I think it's great. It's good for me. I don't necessarily get a lot of people who want their house to look like Studio McGee.
Right.
They're beautiful. It's great.
Sure.
I'm not good at that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I'm like,
you will
give me
say
wallpaper,
that.
give me pattern. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you will say that.
Yes.
Because I feel like some people just try to put a square into a round hole. You know what I mean? And I love that you say that. I mean, there's some clients that that's not for you.
No, and I feel like it's not going to be cost effective. It's not going to be fun for you because I'm going to be asking myself constantly, like, does this look good? Because it doesn't flow through me, Yeah. So I definitely am a little bit more like bold, colorful. I'm able to sort of encourage clients, I think, to kind of go for it,
Right.
Yeah.
And I say this, I love so many things. I mean, I just love so many looks. It makes me feel good. I'm contemporary modern. That is my line. I love color. But when I'm with designers, it just makes my heart so happy. And, you were saying to me that you have some clients that are like, just do it. Just do it without me. I don't need, check in on occasion.
Yeah.
Not me, girl. You're not going to get rid of me. You know what I mean?
But I love that too.
I love just being there, and I drive you freaking crazy.
But I have a client. I actually have a few clients who are like that. And one of my clients who is like that, we Marco Polo almost every single day. Like, I love her. She's like become one of my closest friends, but she's one of those, like, she's got to work through her process. She wants to see all the options. She wants to go shopping with me. And what's funny is she went through a few other designers before me who didn't have the patience, I guess. That's what she says. She was like, they didn't have the patience for me. I love her. I'm just like, great. Like, basically, I get paid to hang out with a wonderful human being who loves design and who like wants to pay me to like help her
and shop.
How can I complain about that?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Exactly.
And then I have also wonderful clients who are like, I just want you to choose. I love what you do. I just want you to choose.
For sure.
You choose.
For sure.
I'm going to go live my life and you make it happen.
Exactly.
And that's great too.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like to work with however a client needs. So I have some clients who they want me to hold their hand. They want to be involved. I don't feel that is invasive or any like that. That doesn't feel like that to me. That just feels like that's their process and they've hired me to help them and I'm going to do it in a way that feels comfortable for them. And then I have other clients who want me just to do it. And that's great too. So I'm pretty flexible on how I work with people. I spend a lot of time up front with clients, really trying to get to know them, trying to get to know their brain, their neuroses, their functional needs, emotional needs, all those little things before we ever really start the process so that I know I'm really solving problems for them and I'm doing it in a way that's going to be fun, enjoyable. Yeah.
Right. So those listening right now, my viewers or followers, your community as well. So let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, sign me up. I mean, this sounds like a fabulous deal. Talk to us about the people that are like, ugh, I really, really need help and assistance. Can't afford it, but I don't know if I can afford it. So talk to us how you can actually save clients money.
Okay, so I can work with people a few different ways. I like to always start with a consultation because I think that gives us a really good basis of what you need. It allows me to get into your house because I got my beautiful mind is what my husband says, where I'm like looking at where are shoes piling up? Where is mail piling up? Oh, I see that you have that over there. I'm able to ask the questions like, how many people do you have over on Thanksgiving? How, like when you entertain, what does it look like? What are you serve? I'm asking all these questions. I want to get to know I want to get to know the client. I want to get to know how they live. I want to get to know how they want to live. I want to know their aspirations, what's working, what's not. So I feel like a consultation is a really good place to start because I'm able to get a lot of information, give feedback, give ideas. And then from there, I can give a really good idea of like a scope of work, or I can also say, here's the scope of work so that you have a price. And if that feels like too much of an investment and you have the time to do the legwork and you love this process and what you really want is just a safety net, then I can also do, it's called hourly, like pick my brain. And so the client can do all the work, pull together the sofa, taking what I've told them in the consultation, go and search and find things. And then they can email me like, here are 5 sofas I found. Here are 5 coffee tables. What do you think about this armchair? And then I can start helping them put it together so that they feel confident moving forward. Or I can say, you know what, that chandelier is too big because your ceiling's only this high and this is that, so I have sort of that option that just it gives the safety net, but it's less cost. And then I also have the option, of course, where I do it. And really, it ends up not being like as crazy, I feel like, as people think, especially when you consider some of the savings that you get like on furniture and things that I'm able to get through, my buying group or, my wholesale accounts, my stock dealer accounts. So yeah.
And you know what I've done through the years? I've made a huge mistake of buying the cheapest sofa, and it lasts 2 years instead of I have a sofa that I spent way too much money that I'm actually having it restuffed, reupholstered.
And that costs almost just
it's
as much.
15 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tired of it. We wouldn't, it really, look how much money we saved, you know? And we found
and one thing I was going to say I love with like knowing where a client is in their season, I'm great with that. If you have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old and right now you're just like, I don't want to spend a lot on a sofa, I'm not going to push you, but I will say, then let's splurge a little bit on this light fixture. Let's splurge on wallpaper, things that your kids can't necessarily mess up because it's a pie and they can't stain it and they can't climb on it, but it'll make your less expensive sofa look higher end because we've splurged somewhere.
Right.
And I'm a mixture anyway. Like I love a high-low, look. And so I feel like I'm really good at like really listening to clients, but then also saying like, okay, I hear you. I'm not going to force you to like spend a lot of money on the sofa, even though it would be a better choice.
Just saying.
Just so you know. But we can find other ways to add in that style, that unique choices, things that are going to make the space feel different so that you're not walking in and everything's from West Elm or everything's from Wayfair. It's like we can add in that style, especially with lighting. Can we talk about lighting? I love it so much.
Love lighting.
I do too. It's like my favorite.
Oh, we bought the house we're in now, and it had all can lights, all can lights.
Who looks beautiful in can lights? Nobody.
No one. Might as well have fluorescent. And so we remodeled, and you can, what we did. But
that's one of my biggest tips. I'm like, if you have a builder or like a spec home, you change out those light fixtures.
Quick.
You splurge on it. It's the fastest way to make a house look high end, and it's not even anything anyone can break. Because I'm not talking like table lamps, but I love table lamps too. But like if you're trying to keep it kid friendly,
sure,
they can't hurt
so
your chandelier.
Unique. So much personality in lights. I just go to the light.
I know, and I love vintage lights so much. Like I'm like just on first dibs, like constantly like drooling.
I know. Well, something that's so cool about modern technology and new textiles is performance fabrics. We did have a glass of red wine that went down my white sofa that just sponged right up.
Eat it up. Woo! Yeah. So I'm going to do these like channel tufted chaise. I don't know. I say chaise. And I'm doing it in the perennials, like boucle kind of look. And at first they were like, everything will beat up on it. And I was like, I'll be the judge of that. I was like, I don't trust anybody. And I was in the kitchen. I was doing my own experiments.
It worked.
I'm very excited. Yeah.
Just performance fabrics alone. In that you can guide us there.
Yeah.
You can guide us.
And I think too, I think what people don't realize is too, there's so much with interiors and what an interior designer can also help that will make your life easier. So So like, for example, I have one client right now where we're doing a gut remodel in her kitchen, and she has a 4 and I think it's like a 4 and a 6-year-old, and she's constantly doing their hair in the kitchen. So in the kitchen, there's always a brush, headbands, it's clutter, and she feels overwhelmed, but she's always in the kitchen every morning. She's, making breakfast. She's trying to get them ready for school, and she's always doing their hair in the kitchen. So when we did this remodel, I was like, why not just have a drawer for all of their stuff? Like, you don't have to fight against your rhythms and your routine. But it like took a designer to basically tell her, we're going to have a drawer in your kitchen that's going to be for all of the hair ties, the brushes, so that you can just open it, you can do their hair, put it back away, and your kitchen is clean. And you don't have to fight against your rhythm. You just be where you are, and we make the house work for you, not the other way around. Right. So, and she works from home. The other thing we did, like, she likes to work from their dining table, and she'd always have her laptop plugged into the wall, constantly tripping, kids walking past, knocking her computer down. And I was like, we're remodeling. Let's just put a plug underneath the kitchen dining table. You don't have to worry about it. Now you can work at your table. It's like little things that, like, it's like when you work really closely with a client, you can really start to see, like, what do you need? How do you live? What are little pain points? What are little things we can do that will make your life better?
Absolutely.
I know. I love that. I just like get so excited about stuff like that.
Okay. So I have a question for you. And the question is, what is the biggest challenge with us as a client? What is the biggest challenge with a client? Seriously. Are they just a myriad? What's the biggest challenge? There's so many.
The biggest, I think, you don't want to know, I think the biggest challenge is, I think the biggest challenge I have usually is having people look at the whole picture, and not just, this is twofold, the whole picture, not just individual pieces, and the whole picture, not individual prices. Because again, I'm a high-low person, so I might send you a proposal for a table that costs $200 off of Wayfair, and I also might send you a proposal for a rug that costs $10,000 from the rug, or $20,000 from the rug,
Right.
But when you add it all together, it's going to fall within that reasonable, healthy budget that we've set, and I think sometimes that's what clients have, especially husbands, they have a hard time. Or I shouldn't say husbands. I should say the more financial person, budget person in the, because there's always a spender and there's always a
because I'm that person.
I'm the
budget person.
Okay,
like I'm
the budget person too.
Eating Rolaids.
Yeah,
not my Greg.
Yeah, yeah. I know. Scott's like, it's only money, and I'm like,
I guess it is.
That's spoken like someone who didn't grow up poor.
Exactly. Case adjourned.
Yeah. But so to me, it's always like you look at the whole budget together, because there's going to be things that feel expensive on its own. But when we put it all together, it's going to fall in that reasonable amount for the whole space. And then I think also that comes with style. So sometimes I'm going to really push you to choose these hero pieces that are very unique. Like I have a Art Deco rug that it's like 100 years old. I love it. It's beautiful green. It has flowers. It has birds, but it can't be with a bunch of other hero pieces. No. Otherwise it no longer is a hero. Mm-hmm. So that's the other thing. I do get clients who are like, oh, but this chair seems so boring. And I'm like, the chair is boring on its own, but let's go back to the rendering. Let's because if they look at a proposal with the chair on its own, they start to second guess. But when you look at it in the rendering or the room board, then it's, well, this has to be more quiet so that this hero piece so the wallpaper can pop or the rug can pop. So that's the biggest challenge, is just constantly reminding clients of the plan.
You know what? And I'm thinking about this as we're talking, because we go back to this creative brain with your wardrobe, with your exactly what you're talking about, with food, with menus. You can't have all the heroes.
Yeah, no.
You can't have the shoes overpower the dress. And you can't have the chair overpower it is. And that takes me back to a question I have for you.
Okay.
When you are designing a room, what is, do you center it around one piece? Do you, for example, do you start with the rug, or do you start with the light, or how do you start?
So usually, I will say, I'm going to back up just even a little bit more. What I always start function. So first, before I ever source one beautiful anything, we are delving into floor plans. I'm figuring out what is the plan that is going to help you live your life with ease? Like, what is going to allow you to entertain the way you want to entertain? What is going to allow you to have your quiet time and meditate if that's something that you want? What's going to allow you to have your kids and all their friends over? So we're going to really focus on that floor plan. And then from there, when I start to focus on the pretty stuff, some of it kind of depends. Usually I'm going to choose one. I feel like by the time I start with sourcing, there's always one thing that has stuck out to me that I've seen that I really start to think about for that client. So sometimes it's a wallpaper and sometimes it's a rug. It's usually one of those two things. Sometimes it's a fabric if I'm like, I really want these to be drapes or something, and then I'll build around it. But it's usually something like that, something a little bolder. It usually has a pattern. It has a lot of colors. And then we slowly build around that.
Great.
I love building rooms around rugs.
I know. Just love it.
It's
Rugs.
like art just on the floor.
You and I both know Mitch over at the rug company in Dallas.
I love him.
Love
He's
you,
so
Mitch.
Nice. I'm like, I love you, Mitch.
Mitch loves me. I know. I just love the rugs. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Okay, let's talk about art, because I think I mentioned to you, I did make a mistake one time, multiple times. Let's back up on that. But I had someone select art for my husband and I. And art is very important to us. And I mean, it may be a $10 local artist in Cabo that I found, or it may be a very, very something that really speaks to us in Postiano, Italy.
Yeah.
I really feel like art is something that is just very
personal.
personal, right?
It's personal.
I mean,
so I 100% agree. I usually tell clients when we get to the art phase, if you're one of my clients who likes to check out and not be involved, you actually don't get to do that. It's not allowed anymore, because art has to speak, or you have to be okay if I'm selecting it, then you have to be prepared. We're going to go back and forth. The more than we've gone back and forth on anything else. Most things I can present and it's like, we're good to go. Art, it's going to be, okay, I like this. We're going to go reselect 5 more. It's going to be a lot more of a conversation. I think art actually is much better to source with the client, going to galleries, sending them online resources that they can start looking. I think a lot of the times another mistake people make is they think that art has to match the space. And I kind of feel like, not that I'm saying it can't match, but I feel like if you start making it too matchy, it feels like a hotel. And I'm someone who doesn't really want my house to feel like a hotel. I'm like, hotels are designed to appeal to the masses.
Sure.
So I really don't want my home to feel like a hotel. I want my home to feel like me. So I feel like art can kind of give that tension. It's like, it's okay if art doesn't quite, if you have a very say traditional home, but you fall in love with a very modern photo, I think that can be very beautiful. It adds tension. It emphasizes the modernness. I don't know. It's not a word of the photo, but it also emphasizes it emphasizes the specialness of the traditional aspect of the furniture, if that makes sense.
Sure.
It adds that tension. So yeah, I think art it's kind of a wild card for me. I feel like it can, it doesn't have to match. It's supposed to make you happy or feel something or remind you of something. Or it can be really playful. I love art to have a sense of humor. In one client, we did this, it was like a John Belushi, really modern, oversized photograph. And he had on the goggles, but they didn't have glass. It was just silly. It was something that you would look at it and it just made you laugh. That was fun.
I have a piece of art. You walk up my stairs. We live on the second floor, and you walk in, and it's a massive, massive piece of art. And I see something in that art, but everyone that comes to my home and looks and goes, gosh, I see a cross. Oh my goodness, that's a lady. Oh, that's a lake. Oh, it's a star. It's a fish. I'm like, are we all crazy?
Yeah.
But it's personal.
Yeah.
Which is that's my question for you. Okay, so you have online courses.
I do.
Tell me more, sister.
I created an online course called Thoughtful Nesting, and it was for the people who who liked the process, who wanted to learn more about design, who wanted to create their own home, but also the pick my brain would even not be kind of something that they would want to do. And so it really takes you through my process of paying attention to your habits, learning your rhythms, because my whole philosophy is don't fight against yourself. Like, I want your home to feel peaceful and lovely, yes, with interiors and beautiful items, but also with like your energy. And so if the shoes are no longer on the floor, then you're not going to be irritated at your children. So so instead of fighting against that, if the shoes end up at the floor at the front door, then let's figure that out. Let's let them be at the front door, but let's figure out a way to hide them. You know, like let's work together. So it kind of it takes people through figuring out your habits, figuring out your rhythms. What are the tools you need for those rhythms and habits? Being able to make a plan, making your furniture plan, and then really getting clear on your style. And then from there, starting to source items to design your space.
I love that. I mean, I think really that is so great. And I was looking at your website with the courses and I thought, I would love that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because it really gives you like an exploration too of just like yourself. And to me, it also really helps you start to define like, what are my values? What do I really care about? And I think it also really encourages you, because this is like something else I notice with clients. I want you, of course, to live like you. Like, let's not fight against ourselves. But then also we want to have aspirations. We want to live at a higher level than what we are now. But also we don't want to be unrealistic or put ourselves in a box. Like, that's one thing I've realized is even like with entertaining. Sometimes with entertaining, people think, if I'm going to entertain and I want to share my house with people, it has to be in a beautiful dining room with a beautiful table and china, and here's this box. But it doesn't have to be like that, because if that's not really you and that's not really going to be how you, even if we created a dining room, you wouldn't do it. So why try to live someone else's life? If you want to share your life with someone, how are you going to do it? Well, it might be, I had one client who was like, I love tequila, like tequila tasting. So we took out her dining room. We put lounge chairs in the dining room. The dining room was next to the butler's pantry. And we created like a whole bar lounge area. Like, she was like, I don't need a dining room. That's not how I'm going to do. So that's kind of the stuff I like to teach people to do, is like, make your house really a reflection of you. Have aspirations. So like, if you want people to come over, let's do that, but let's not force it to be in a box how everyone thinks that you need to entertain. Let's do it the way you're going to do it and how you really will do it. Like, who wants to, like, who wouldn't not want to have people come over and like have a tequila tasting?
Sure.
You know, like, you're going to want to do that every Friday.
Yeah, let's do it now.
But a dinner party, for me, I'm like, a dinner party, I'd be like, oh God, the dinner party. You know?
For sure.
But for some people, like, I have one client who is a chef and she loves a dinner party. You know, like, that is exciting to her.
Me.
Yes, like she wants the china and the settings, and that's beautiful for her. But I would never have a dinner party if I had to do all of that. You know, like.
Well, I have one more question for you in wrapping up, because I'm getting to know you, and obviously with this podcast, people are getting to know you as well. But you talked about, as a little girl, that room making you feel so pretty, so special, so at peace. So if I ask you, and we all ask you, what is a home to you? What would you say?
Oh my goodness. I feel like it's probably cliche, but I'm going to go with it because it's my heart. A home is your heart.
It is. It is. It's safety.
Oh my gosh.
Comfort.
It's safety, peace. Yeah. Laughter, kisses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say all this and you're on YouTube, and if you can see the tears in her eyes, because how far she's come from, that little girl. And, you are making homes beautiful and fabulous and safe and wonderful for so many people. And we appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh my gosh, it's been my pleasure, because we're talking about things I love to talk about.
I know.
I just love it.
I'm a freak about all of it. I'm just like, oh, I want to eat this wallpaper.
Wallpaper is a thing, people. All right. How can we find you?
You can find me on glamournest.com, also on Instagram. I think my handle is just glamournest. And those are like the two, I would say the two main ways. Yeah.
Yeah. And look at her website because it is beautiful with all the pictures, and her Instagram just as beautiful. And y'all, we love a beautiful home. It makes you safe. It makes you happy and makes you comfortable. So everyone, thank you so much for listening today and watching on YouTube. We're trying to get up in that YouTube world for sure. And everyone, make your home happy, make it you, and keep being fabulous.